system. I hope that we're going to be able to have a health care where Lindsay and I were discussing it, Jim and I were discussing it, and Katie, we discussed it. We want a health care system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time, where the people get the money. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars where the people get the money. Yes, please.
Was it the shutdown worth it?
We have waged a battle on behalf of the American people. First of all, Donald Trump and Republicans are the ones who shut the government down. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And the American people know it. And that's been the case for 7 consecutive weeks.
But you know, at the end of the day, you didn't get what you want. So was it worth waging this fight?
At the end of the day, the fight lives on.
Going to hear horrible stories. People are not going to be able to afford their insurance. I don't think even with subsidies they're going to be able to afford the premiums that are hiking up 100, 200, 300%.
Wasn't Obamacare supposed to fix that?
When people, no, well, not without the universal. I mean, there's
Affordable Care Act.
Yeah,
Affordable was the first
listen,
word.
The Republicans have been chipping away at the ACA, and I think this is going to be the death of the ACA, but it's also going to be the death of some Americans who don't go get screenings, who don't get diagnosed early enough in order to get treatment, who go in and instead of being stage 1 cancer are going to be stage 4 cancer. And we're going to hear horrible stories because Americans are going to choose to drop health insurance that they cannot afford. And we as a country have got to figure this issue out.
Obamacare has been exposed as a complete and utter failure. We all know it now. Everybody admits it. The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer. And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned about cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it. But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference. I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that, like if we're going to spend this amount of money, should we be just giving it to insurance companies or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies, is not getting us any better outcomes at all.
What's up, everyone? Talk with Kenny here today, and welcome to the show. So today we're going to be revisiting the Obamacare debate, the topic. As you saw from the intro, Trump kind of gave out his plan. And hey, instead of paying these subsidies directly to insurance companies, why not put it in the hands of the American people? And this is something I advocate for. I think this is a better solution. It's the same kind of incentive structure that we believe that school choice incentivizing. It creates competition amongst the people, amongst the insurance companies to provide better care for the American people. And it kind of puts the Democrats in a tough spot here. Because if Democrats cave and ended the shutdown, how was it ever a Republican shutdown? And this is probably what liberal voters and liberal politicians are right now trying to do the calculations, right? And all the outrage online is getting ridiculous. Like, these people are still mad about the fact, like, yo, Democrats folded because end of the day, Democrats didn't have the leverage. Democrats' leverage wasn't as good as they thought it was. Casually admitting it was the Democrats who kept the government shut down. LOL. Here's Harry Sisson having a full meltdown. Absolutely pathetic. I can't believe we caved to this wannabe dictator on his goons. Thanks to the Democrats who voted no. We will remember who bent the knee. And this video, I want to talk about John Fetterman, who is single-handedly becoming my favorite Democrat. I think Fetterman is probably the only Democrat I will even consider voting for. I know he has progressive policies. I know he has, but at the end of the day, he's a Democrat in a swing state. And if the Democrat Party was smart, they'll elect John Fetterman as Senate Minority Leader of the Democratic Party. I'm being honest right there. I'm being honest. That's how I honestly think. But before I go into it, we're going to talk about Obamacare. Everyone's complaining about, oh my God, you cave. Oh my God, increase premiums this, increase premiums that. But as Scott Jennings outlined it, hey, your law was supposed to, your bill was supposed to stop this from being out of control. Oh, it would have been worse. Always would have been worse. right? But without further ado, let's check out some clips, and then we'll return back to Sonny Holston trying to confront John Fetterman. Let's take a look.
I have a lot more questions than answers. I don't know why Senate Democrats
are going along with
fought
this
so hard for a date promised in the future, and they're looks like they're settling for something that is 6 weeks down the line. Like,
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I would say it doesn't feel like a gentleman's agreement. It feels like Lucy and the football.
Ooh,
you know?
yeah, I see that.
It's like, oh yeah, we promised this vote.
Right.
Whoops, the vote's gone.
But they can even, in good faith, do a vote in the Senate. Nothing's going to happen in the House.
Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, if John Thune is being above board, say, I'm going to do this. But look at the base. I mean, I'm already seeing a thing on social media and getting emails from listeners to my radio show. By the way, I have a radio show. And
We already said that.
We gave you credit for that, Dean. Come on.
people already, no, but they're saying, for 40 days you shut the government down, and now you're going to open the government up, and what did you get in return?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing. After the pain you inflicted, people were willing to take the. I talked to union workers from TSA. I said, I'll take the pain if it's going to help me to get health insurance subsidies paid. So you're getting nothing in return. I don't know how. And you just won an election on Tuesday in huge numbers.
This is my question. What explains the timing here? Like, what changed? The term deals didn't change.
The cynical person would say that Democrats won the election, that's what changed.
Yeah, Republicans are going to say that.
That's exactly what
that.
they're going to say. And, I'm not flacking. I, worked for 3 Democratic senators back in the day. I'm not flacking for them now. I don't know what their response, a real response, is going to be to that because it's not apparent. It looks like they folded.
So I just went down the Affordable Care Act rabbit hole, and I'm genuinely shocked that Americans are not more outraged about this entire thing. The Affordable Care Act subsidies that the Democrats are requiring to extend in order to reopen our government are subsidies that are paid with taxpayer. Obama said you must use the Affordable Care Plan or pay a fine or get insurance elsewhere. You must have insurance. You must use Obamacare. It will be affordable. And then it ended up not being affordable at all. So we had to subsidize the cost of it with taxpayer money that is paid directly to insurance companies who are causing the driving up of healthcare costs in the first place. This is such a scam. And people aren't outraged. Like, it sounds so noble that the Democrats want people to have affordable health care, but Obama forced people to have affordable health care that wasn't affordable at all, so taxpayers have to pay it, but we pay it directly to the private insurance companies that make health care unaffordable. Can someone clarify if I'm missing something? Because this is wild.
And this is why, this little political theater that the Democratic Party is just trying to show out here on the cameras. Oh my God, Trump's cruelty. But John, if you had voted like John Fetterman, you could have ended those cruelty of Donald Trump 41 days ago, 40 days ago, right? But you chose not to because you needed leverage, right? And the Democrats are openly admitting through their actions, through their reactions, that they're the ones responsible for the shutdown, not the Republican Party. And this is the manipulative tactics that I talk about and I highlight a lot about the Democratic Party and why I can't trust liberals. Usually, this is why I have such a bias against liberals. I openly admit that, but not for whatever reason. It's not an emotional reason. It's just I know their common tactics. I see their pattern of behavior, right? And when I meet a liberal that's not like that, I'm pleasantly surprised. But you saw from the intro, or you saw from the segment, the lady broke down the incentives. Hey, Obamacare caused inefficiencies in the healthcare system because you were forced to be on a healthcare plan, regardless if you wanted to or not, right? Then the healthcare, Medicare people, right? People on Medicare, their plan, the government forced these insurance companies to charge lower, right? And it caused a shortfall. Like, you're not getting paid full price for the procedures being done on you because you're taking Medicare, you're treating a Medicare patient. So the cost goes on to the private insurers, right? And to mitigate this or the increase, right? It would have been worse if we didn't step in. You stepping in is what made it worse in the first place. It's what made it bad in the first place. Because now you have to subsidize your bill. Make it make sense. It's like going to a car mechanic. He fixes your car. Then he tells you, hey, you got to pay a little bit extra on gas to maintain the repairs that I made on your car. You're gonna be like, I might as well just put my car back the way it was before. And this is what the Democrat Party has done with the Affordable Care Act. And this is one of the things where when they're sitting here trying to blame the Republicans for increased costs, in a way, it looks to me like you're trying to hide your involvement in this. You try to hide and disguise the fact that it was your policy, it was your bill that introduced and created the problem in the first place. And you're just trying to shift blame to the Republican Party. The Republicans own this health crisis. Premiums are going to go up because of the Republicans. But when in reality, it was the Democratic ACA that set everyone up in this situation in the first place. And then they're going to be the same people complaining about the healthcare system, and you want us. And this is my problem with Democrats, is that they always think they have the answers for something. Then you look back and you find out it was their policies that set in motion the problems that you're dealing with in 2025. What they did in 2012 is partially responsible for what we're dealing with in 2025. And if we remove the subsidies, it further would expose the inefficiencies and the problems that the Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act introduced into our healthcare system. And then these are going to be the same people killing healthcare CEOs over a problem that the Democratic Party policies have helped incentivize. Damn, make it make sense. Create a problem and then you pretend you have the solution. And then you want us to universal basic healthcare. You want a single payer healthcare. You want the government to be the only business in town to manage our healthcare system. Get out of here. But without further ado, let's look at this conversation between Sonny Holston and Fetterman.
Well, Senator Bernie Sanders said the vote was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins.
Look. Congress is Congress. Regardless who's in power, Americans blame Congress as a whole. But there's other polls, like, for instance, I did it on this video before. I did it on this channel. CNN had a poll where independents were siding with Republicans and Republicans were backing Republicans on this. Sure, Republicans take some blame, but most people blame the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party approval ratings took a hit way worse than the Republicans Party's approval ratings take a hit. But I don't know where they're getting this information from. She didn't quote no sources. I just think this is a narrative that Democrats tell themselves to feel like they're justified in continuing this tactic. Because at the end of the day, John Fetterman did the smart thing. Country over party, right? If I'm America first, he's speaking to, like, this is the funny part about it. John Fetterman may be the only Democrat that can talk to the people in the middle, because he's willing to be like, yo, we got to put the best interest of the country over what's in our best interest. We have to somehow align our interests with the American people. We can't just be like, no, suffer for our benefit. Take 41 days of not getting paid, traffic control people, SNAP people, right? Federal veterans, military. Yeah. You need to suffer for 41 days for our ends to be met, while you was getting pressure from labor unions to reopen the government. At the same time, trying to blame or trying to tell the American people that it's the Republican shutdown. But we need 60 votes in the Senate. Republicans only have 53 votes, 55 votes at best. And you guys didn't want to vote for it. You didn't want to vote. You was holding up the votes. Yet you want to blame Republicans because why are you blaming Republicans for the shutdown? Oh, because Republicans don't want to put these healthcare subsidies that's going to help mask the problems introduced from the Obamacare Act. Oh, does that make sense? Like, when you break it down, there's no way in hell a logical person will blame the Republicans for the shutdown. This is all on the Democrats, because the Democrats wanted to add on to the CR instead of keeping everything status quo and just debate it out. Because effectively, that's what you did, right? All the Democrats, I show you in the clip, MSNBC, all those liberals were complaining about that. Oh, it just looked like the Democrats folded because there was no leverage. And that's the funny part with these liberals when they're talking about politics. It's like, yo, is Trump derangement syndrome so severe that they can't see, like, they can't see it. They can't see the game. Yo, yeah, that is exactly right. They got through the shutdown was used to galvanize their base to win in deep blue cities, deep blue states, so they can get a morale boost, and the job was done. But it's like, oh, no, it just looked like they're folded. Anything to try to stick it to Trump, huh? Even if it wrecks the country, even if it causes suffering across America, we got to get Trump, though. That's the message. That's the messaging that a lot of these Democratic voters are portraying themselves out in public, in my purview, crying about caving. No, you did what was best for the American people, and I think this is where John Fetterman is going to go with. But without further ado, let's get back into the video.
Last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations, and a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states in those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things.
Yo, like common sense stuff. He's a senator from a swing state. His other senator, his co-senator that's up there in Washington with him, is a Republican. He's the Democrat. And Sonny Holston, who's shooting The View from California, deep blue California, is going to sit here lecture to him talking about how he folded. This is why I say Gavin Newsom can't win. This is why I'm saying that Democrats do not give me or give the American people a California Democrat, because they ain't going to be able to relate to us. Middle America is going to look at Gavin Newsom, is going to be like, yeah, your state has the highest unemployment in the union. Hey, your budget deficit looks bad. Hey, those Palestine fires, damn. You don't know how to manage stuff, do you? Damn, you're resting on your laurels, huh? You think you're just going to fail into the presidency, huh? Because you can talk slick. But if you do any modicum of research, oh, you talking about high-speed rail? Oh, you spent so much money on high-speed rails. How long you been doing that? Since Obama was the president? Damn. And you still haven't gotten that built yet? Oh, you spent $24 billion trying to end homelessness, and homelessness increased in your state. There's people being prosecuted for fraud, for embezzling government money to deal with homelessness. So this is the type of stewardship and leadership you're providing, Gavin Newsom, and you think you're going to win a national election, right? And Sonny Holston is one of these people, one of these voters from these deep blue states crying and complaining about how Democrats cave online when that only appeases their base. Only their base see that. Anyone center of me, it can see exactly what I'm telling you. Like, yo, these people are out of touch. And that was the number one problem that we point out about the Democratic Party. A self-centered party. And a lot of these politicians from these deep blue cities, deep blue states, they're so out of touch with how non-Democrats perceive them that this is how they come across. Like, you heard the clapping in the background. She thought she was doing something. And I'm looking at this lady like, damn, you crazy as hell. I don't want to vote for the same person you're voting for. Oh, was that Gavin Newsom? Oh, hell no, I ain't voting for that guy. But exactly what he said. Hey, try that ish in Pennsylvania. Try that ish in Michigan. All the Democrats that make sense come from swing states. All the Democrats that make sense come from deep red states. They know, oh, hey, look, this ain't it. You making you making millions of people suffer. 7% of Americans want the government to reopen. And you thought the American people were buying your narratives because you won a little election in your deep blue cities and states. Like, make it make sense. How you articulate that? How you spin that as some type of momentum going to 2026 when you won in only deep blue areas that already was set up for you to win? Make it make sense. But this is the Democratic Party. Anything to spin a narrative. But when you bring out the context, when you bring out the facts, it don't seem that impressive anymore. And that's the smart thing to do. The smart thing was to sign this thing in. Hey, fund the government, or else America is going to hate us. Because over time, I told you, time was on the Republican side. That was my argument. Time was on the Republican side. Y'all wanted to play chicken with the Republicans. Okay, Republicans going to sit back and say, look, we voted for this bill 16 times, 17 times, 18 times. How many times they voted for the bill? We need 60 votes, people. You want us to turn on the filibusters? Every Democrat's going to say no. Okay, then you got to get your guys to vote for the CR. We ain't caving on this. And the Republicans showed that they wasn't caving on this. So this was Democrats' last option. This was their off-ramp. Because the longer they took for them to get off this, the more and more and more it was going to hurt them. They was already facing pressure. And this is why I'm saying these people are so delusional, especially these people from deep blue cities, deep blue states. So delusional about the kind of leverage they think the Democrats had. Democrats had no leverage. This looked like a kamikaze, reckless attempt at something. To middle America, this looked like nothing more than a show, than a performative tactic from the Democratic Party. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me in the comment section below, but let's continue with the video.
And realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by that by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills.
Exactly, real problems. Right? Whoopi, all these people, they're Hollywood actors. Like, they used to be Hollywood actors. You getting paid millions of dollars to talk on TV, right? And real people are suffering over these little games you're playing. Oh, it was a mistake. A mistake? This is not a mistake, making 42 million people on Snap who more than likely, 7 out of 10 of them vote for the Democratic Party. You're making them suffer? And for what? Because you want extensions on the Healthcare Affordability Act, which is not even making healthcare affordable. Make it make sense. You just want to win. That's it. You using the people as leverage. Just openly admit that. But this is why I can't stand about these manipulative liberals. They want to pretend that they're so holier than thou. They care. They just wanted a virtue signal. And this is how I saw the shutdown, the Democratic shutdown from the very beginning. It was nothing more than a self-centered, self-aggrandizing virtue signal from the Democratic Party. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts and your perspective on this. Let me know your thoughts about John Fetterman, his kind of his take on this. Do you agree with his take? Do you think it's the only sensible take? And let me ask you this question in the comment section below. Do you believe that if the Democrats was smart, they'll put him as Senate minority leader? Let me hear your thoughts and perspective in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me on the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.